Ooh. I seem a little short, but I'm not messing with the camera again, so I'm just gonna grab something to sit on.
Hi, welcome back. It's me, Kat the Hufflepuff here. I'm feeling extra ranty right now. What I'm ranting about today is Game of Thrones. Because today is the 1-year anniversary of the season 8 finale, also known as the best season of Game of Thrones ever. So, in honor of that, I'm gonna be using this absolutely sickening Game of Thrones X Urban Decay collection. I bought the whole collection. So you're gonna get ready with me. We're gonna do an eyeshadow look. It's probably not gonna be as pretty as yesterday's, but I'll post yesterday's to my Instagram, so you should go follow me. It is a private account because really, like, there's some people you just don't want to see your Instagram, you know? It's just makeup looks and my dog and food, but it's still like mine, you know? We are gonna go ahead and dive in. And I'm going to be talking about all the things that I didn't like about the last season of Game of Thrones and things that I would do differently, and just, you know, I'm just gonna talk.
I am going to pick a color from each of the 4 sections of this palette, and we're gonna discuss the corresponding plot points and why I'm upset about it. Let's start with my absolute favorite shade in the palette, Nymeria. So we're gonna start by talking about the Starks. And there's a lot of Starks to talk about. And since this is our first in transition shade, I anticipate we'll be blending for a good while. So this is perfect.
First of all, I'm gonna start with the positives. Love what they did with Arya. Loved her killing the Night King. Loved her, like, popping her cherry with Gendry, because first of all, Gendry is fine. And I realize he's much older than she is, but apparently it wasn't like awkward. It was like kind of awkward behind the scenes, but not like in a weird or creepy way. So I kind of appreciate, you know, that level of professionalism, because the plot point was really well done and they had good chemistry throughout the series. And it developed naturally, and her rejecting him at the end was just the perfect culmination to all of that. Because there's no way my girl Arya was gonna go back and be a freaking lady. That's not her, okay? Loved Arya and the Hound again. It was nice to see them. The end was a little strange, but overall I liked it, and I appreciated that it was Arya's point of view on the ground during the whole King's Landing scene. We already know Arya is totally badass. It made the emotion of it that much more intense to see Arya. Same thing with her scene in the library. Maisie Williams is a fantastic actress. I think she really killed it this season. Like, I really wanted to start on a positive note. So we started with Arya, my personal favorite. So next we're gonna go on to Sansa, because I'm not gonna go too deep into Sansa, but in season 5, I really wish they hadn't put her with Ramsay Bolton, and I can do a whole video on that, so that's all I'm gonna say. I wish she had stayed in the Vale and been getting like cunning and smart, and then that Littlefinger would have started to fear the monster he had created, and that's why he sent her to Ramsay. But when I think of season 8 and I think of Sansa, the most disappointing thing, I feel like the drama between Daenerys and Sansa was very forced.
Even Sansa herself was like, oh, I should have thanked you the minute you arrived.
Yeah, no duh.
There could have been better opportunities to give Sansa and Daenerys a chance to understand each other and appreciate each other, because they've both been through so much. And it would have been great to see them actually like connect, and it would have made Daenerys' downfall a little more tragic if more people actually liked her. They've been toppling everything. Like, everything's spinning out of control. Daenerys and her dragons, it's kind of like, what next? What next? So I understand some level of fear, but her showing up to be on their side in their fight should have been all the confirmation they needed that Like, her intentions are good. Sansa should be smart enough to figure that out. I understand some mistrust and some tension just given family histories, but I think it would have been really nice to have seen something develop between Sansa and Daenerys that was closer to an understanding, because I loved Sansa being queen in the north. I will come back to the Stark area because I have a lot to say about Bran, but the next color I am going to use
Lannister red. I'm just gonna deepen up that outside edge just a bit.
Let's talk about, I know this is gonna sound so messed up, but my personal favorite Lannister is actually Cersei. She's such a great character. Like, don't get me wrong, I hate Cersei.
She's the freaking worst, man.
But she rocks that evil queen thing better than anybody else. And not just that, but Cersei's arc was the only arc I really enjoyed for seasons 5, 6, and 7. Yeah. And I enjoyed some moments in season 8. Like, I loved the whole elephants thing when she meets Harry Strickland of the Golden Company. Loved that. That was hilarious because I was low-key like, dang, elephants would have been nice. And I feel like it was really just foreshadowing of disappointment to come. And I was really upset that for season 8, all of her direction was basically, this is your window, here's your glass of wine, here's a couple of witty lines, oh, and you have to fuck Euron. Don't get me wrong, I think Euron could have been a way cooler character. And since there's no Greyjoy part in this palette, I'll mention him real quick. I think it was season 6 when he was first introduced. He seemed so badass. And then season 7, he did badass things, but it was still kind of like the stuff he said, dude, get better dialogue.
Oh, I want to fuck the queen. He doesn't care which one, just as long as they're a queen. Whatever. People have lower aspirations, so you can have that one.
When you have somebody like Lena Headey and you're going to make Cersei the final boss after the Night King, you really need to bring your game, like with the scheming and like the nastiness. And I'm sorry, beheading Missandei when she could easily kill Tyrion and the rest of them all at once, because who has a meeting like that? What? Sorry. Even if the dragons did go ahead and incinerate them afterwards, like, what was there to lose? You won. I was really disappointed in how poorly utilized Lena Headey was as Cersei, because again, she was my favorite Lannister just in terms of entertainment. Consistently throughout the series, I found Cersei to be one of the most entertaining characters on the show, and I don't think Cersei really had a boring season. And most of the characters did have a boring season or a season that I didn't like. And it really bummed me out that her demise was with Jaime 5 feet away from not being crushed by rocks. It's like everybody caught the stupid this season. You know what? Let's talk about Jaime real quick because I have a few gripes with Jaime. There's all the typical gripes about Jaime.
Oh, they ruined his character arc.
Yes, they ruined his character arc by making him go back to Cersei.
But I have a bigger gripe with Jaime. And it goes with Brienne. And this isn't what you think. Look, Gwendolyn Christie is bae. Like, Phasma, the aesthetic. Wish they would have done more of her character there. But at least, like, she got a great character in Brienne of Tarth. And they reduced her to a crying woman because Jaime Lannister wanted to go back and fuck his sister.
Like, Jaime, you made a step up by sleeping with somebody who wasn't your sister. It doesn't matter. It could have been a tree.
Brienne is supposed to be actually, like, ugly in the books, but Gwendolyn Christie just isn't.
Not that I've read the books, but I watch a lot of YouTube so that I don't have to.
I'm just kidding. I really just don't want to read the books until Winds of Winter is finished. We are talking about Jaime and Brienne.
I'm actually going to continue using the Lannister part real quick because I'm going to go in with House Lannister and just kind of like pretty up the inner corner real quick.
I really loved Jaime and Brienne's platonic energy. It was such a great development of like friendship and an understanding of honor, loyalty, and trust. It was one of the best relationships in the whole show. So it really saddened me to see it like reduced to like rom-com antics, buffoonery. She is hateful and so am I. Dude, you just wrote to Winterfell. Like, what? Game of Thrones. Your writing used to be better. Just saying. When I say rom-comish, this is what I mean. In the scene, like when they're preparing for battle in the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and Brienne's like, what are you doing? We have never had a conversation this long without you insulting me. I was like, I feel like he stopped insulting you after his hand got cut off. I mean, at least on an, well, no, I take that back, because he was still insulting her in the tub. I mean, that was the raciest scene they were ever in, and they actually had sex at the show. He did insult her a lot, especially at the beginning of their, like, friendship, relationship, whatever you want to call it. I just didn't like them, like, leaving Brienne just a crying woman like that. And, like, that was the last thing we saw of her until the very end. If Jaime is going to boink Brienne, better have some respect. However, I will say, I loved the moment when Jaime knighted Brienne. To me, that was more gratifying than them having sex, because they just came full circle at that point. When they first started traveling together, Brienne thought Jaime was a dishonorable man. He was only known as the Kingslayer, and she was one of the few people he revealed the truth to in an honest and sincere way. Of course, he was very vulnerable at the moment, being injured. I think this is as splendid as I want to get it right now, because I actually want to dip back into Nymeria. We're going to talk about Bran Stark.
Oh, Bran.
And since we were just talking about Jaime, I feel like this is the right point to insert this. I really loved the conversation that Bran and Jaime had. I felt in some ways that was the most human and most Bran Stark that I saw him throughout the last 2 seasons. But I was really disappointed by Robot Bran, so it was nice to see some kind of emotion come out of him in that moment. Besides that little bit of snark that came out when they made him king. And I didn't have a problem with them making Bran king. It's just that it came out of nowhere, and I wish it had made a little more sense. And why would anybody listen to Tyrion at that point? Honestly, he's proven himself to be dumb. I guess he just sounds smarter than the rest of them, and they're cool with letting a Lannister still be in charge, because at least it's not a Targaryen. They really don't like those Targaryens. It's because they're foreigners, and the Westerosi are, well, they're a little racist. Maybe that's just my personal interpretation of things. Or maybe it's just the real world reflecting on the show when I say that. We spent all these seasons with Bran becoming the Raven. When Bran was first introduced, he was so cute. Like, I loved Bran. He was like kind of bratty because he's the young, like he's one of the youngest. Like, I know Rickon's the youngest, but like Bran's still teeny, and you know, he has a lot of siblings, and he's just, you know, he's 10. So I really liked Bran. He was really endearing, but he was also really clever, and I really enjoyed Bran's performance, even though Bran's storylines tended to be a little more slow-paced.
A little less action intense.
But when they did get action intense, oh my god, they delivered. Here I am expecting like another like Hodor moment, another like epic moment with Bran and the Night King. And look, Arya swooping down at the last minute, we already covered that. It was awesome. So.
Oh, I'm using the shade Winter is Here. Great shade. It's kind of a like black bronze metallic. Dude, it's just brown. It's like a tree trunk. Like, sickening color.
Anyway, so we were talking about Bran. Love Bran, but he's not important enough to make the video, let's be real. Sorry, no shade. Love you, genuinely love you. One of my favorite tertiary characters. When we're talking about Bran, I was expecting a much more epic showdown with the Night King. You know, at least something happening. And I guess you could say the whole episode was the lead up to that, but we really didn't get to see the benefit of Bran being a ward. I don't really remember like us being with Bran on his trips anymore, or his flashbacks, or anything that, like, you know, could have delivered to the plot, which I think is a mistake. I think is a huge mistake. Because I think it would have definitely solidified that decision to make him king a little bit more if we had actually been, like, on that journey with Bran. But I think it would have helped if Tyrion was kind of the person that Bran told some of these visions to. What's the point of being around men if you're not going to help them? And it just seemed like Bran wasn't really all that helpful, you know? And I was expecting him to just be a lot more helpful than he was, and he wasn't, and so it was disappointing. Since, again, there is no Greyjoy palette, and I'm not done blending the shade on either side completely, we are going to talk about Theon Greyjoy, because I feel like he belongs in Winterfell, and I have compliments and I have gripes. Let's start with the compliments. I loved the reunion between Sansa and Theon. Touched my heart, for real. And I like that Daenerys was there to see it, because I feel like that would definitely be the kind of moment of affection that would hurt Daenerys as somebody, because Daenerys has always been looking for a home. Like, ever since season 1, she's been looking for a home. So I can definitely see why, like, an interaction like that would kind of get to her. It would make her feel like some type of way. Theon deserved a better death, okay? Like, look, Theon was always a little... I need a drink of water before I go into this. Or Gatorade. I don't drink anything but water. And alcohol. But mostly water. We knew this from the beginning. Theon was dumb. Theon always did dumb stuff. He betrayed Robb the dumbest way possible. You couldn't tell Balon Greyjoy wasn't a good guy. You didn't listen to Yara when she said, hey, taking Winterfell is stupid. We're sea people. Like, what are we gonna do with Winterfell? There's no connection to the sea, you dumbass. Theon was dumb. And look, what Ramsay did to him was terrible, but low-key, getting rid of Theon's penis was the best thing that ever happened for Theon. Otherwise, he was gonna stay that dumb forever. And don't get me wrong, he was still dumb, but at least he, like, understood consequences a little better. Nerd Soup put it best. Sorry, Nerd Soup, I'm gonna steal from you. But they put it best when they said if Theon knew what would happen with Ramsay, he would have chosen to die with Robb at the Red Wedding. Probably. But at the same time, Theon's the only reason Sansa made it out of that hot mess that was season 5. So Theon's death was just, I felt like he deserved better. At least put up somewhat of a fight. Because if Theon was good at anything, because he definitely wasn't a good thinker, if Theon was good at anything, Theon was good at fighting. So why are we doing Theon like that? Why does he just charge into the Night King like an idiot, only to be immediately dispatched and then left flopping on the ground?
All right, it's me, Kat the Hufflepuff, and I'm wanting to let y'all know that I'm splitting this video into 2 parts. 2. So this is part 1, and part 2 we'll talk about Daenerys, we'll talk about Jon, we'll talk about the Night King. Like, subscribe, comment down below, show me some love. It's your girl, Kat the Hufflepuff, and I will see you on part 2 later this week. Bye!